Hey man, say man, this is the A Man Show back at it again for more content. So before I do my intro, I hope y'all had a great Christmas. Unfortunately, this video is not very positive because the way the Pistons are playing, I have to make this video. Before this video started, the Detroit Pistons were viewed as the teams that can compete for a playoff spot in the tough Eastern Conference. The Pistons just signed a very respected head coach in Monty Williams, a guy that led the Suns to a finals appearance and made multiple postseason appearances. Also, the former #1 overall pick in the 21 draft in Cade Cunningham is coming back from a season-ending injury last year. There was a lot to look forward to with this team going into the season. Well, it's not looking like we expected, if not the way complete opposite, because the Pistons are 2-27. Yes, you heard that right. 2-27, including a 25-game losing streak. Like, how did this shit happen? I can't believe how bad the Pistons are this season, and them still in that losing streak is starting to get fucking ridiculous. So in this video, I finna discuss the Detroit Pistons. Are they really about to go down in history as one of the 3 worst teams in NBA history? That's what we finna find out. But first, make sure y'all subscribe. I post NBA and NFL content. Turn on post notifications so that way you don't miss anything new from me. Anyways, stay tuned and let's get it. The Pistons throughout this decade and the decade before, they have been probably the worst franchise in the NBA. From 2010 to now, they only made 2 playoff appearances in that span. They have been the most failed franchise in this league for the past decade, and the team's mismanagement as far as drafting goes, lack of development of young players, and just poor overall team construction as a whole is all due to the team's incompetence in the front office. The last playoff appearance they made was in 2019 when Blake Griffin had a resurgence year, playing at a borderline superstar level and was named an All-Star that year. His play led the Pistons to a 41-41 record, making the playoffs as an 8th seed. Unfortunately, Griffin was injured once again in the first round and only played 2 games before getting swept by the first-seeded Bucks. Since then, the team went down the drain as they will win 20 games and miss the playoffs entirely in the 2020 season. Because of that, they will be rewarded with the 7th overall pick, in which they will select Killian Hayes, and 9 picks later, they will select Isaiah Stewart from the Blazers. These picks will start off the rebuild at Detroit. During that span, they will trade for Jeremy Grant despite trading away Christian Wood and Bruce Brown. Of course, Detroit will be anus for the whole year. Having one of the worst records in the NBA, they will release Blake Griffin mid-season and he will sign with the Nets. After an anus season by Detroit in the 21 season, they will be rewarded with the 1st overall pick in the 21 draft, in which they will select Cade Cunningham in the draft. Although in the 22 season, the Pistons were still fucking anus, but Cade Cunningham throughout his rookie year was 3rd in one of the tightest Rookie of the Year votings of all time. The Detroit Pistons will continue to make moves after moves despite having one of the worst records in the league. They will trade for the former #2 overall pick in the 2018 draft in Marvin Bagley. After the season, they will select Jaden Ivey with the 5th overall pick and will get Jalen Duren in that Hornets trade. Jaden Ivey will have a really solid rookie year, 6th in Rookie of the Year voting. The Pistons will make another move to get the former 2nd overall pick in the 2020 draft in James Wiseman, and then later on they will hire a former Coach of the Year in Monty Williams. There were a whole lot to expect for this Pistons team, and they were a team that can make strides to make a play-in tournament. But this season has been the absolute complete opposite. They started off the year 2-1, but that tough loss against the Heat really started that dreaded run, because the Pistons will unbelievably lose 25 straight games. The majority of the games they lost by 15 or more points. They are bottom 5 in offense. They have the worst defense in the NBA. They are the 2nd most turnover prone team in the league as they average 17 turnovers per game, and also they are the worst 3-point shooting team in the league. Mind you, this team has all the young talent in the roster. Watching them play is just laughable. They don't have a point of action as far as running plays on offense. Aside from Cade Cunningham playmaking, none of these guys are legit passers, and in fact, the majority of these guys are anus at passing the basketball. They look goofy on offense, and don't even mention their defense, because their defense is just absolutely anus, like god awful to look at. The Pistons made all these moves, and somehow in some way they went backwards. This is a point I've made several times throughout my videos, specifically that Zion video I made years ago. The organization has no identity and no culture. They have all the young players with potential and they haven't done shit with them. One of the main people to blame here is the GM of this team, Troy Weaver. This man decided to trade away Christian Wood, who can be a great veteran guy to have on the roster. He also got rid of Luke Kennard, Sadiq Bey, Dennis Smith Jr., hell, Kelly Olynyk, the same guy that torched the Pistons without marketing and other key guys in that game. Do you know that Killian Hayes and Isaiah Stewart are the longest tenured players in Detroit? Yes. That's how dysfunctional this team is. They outright trade and replace key guys every year despite them being great contributors on the squad that can actually help with the development of the young core. Not to mention, there's an influx of young players on the roster as far as big man goes, and at the guard spot too. On the guard spots, you have Cunningham, and then with Ivy, Killian Hayes, and then Marcus Sasser. And then on the big man spot, you have to deal with Marvin Bagley, Jalen Duren, James Wiseman, and Isaiah Stewart, not to mention Kevin Knox and Isaiah Livers. This is a problem because you have all these young players and the majority of them are high draft picks, and some of them are not going to play as much compared to the other guys, and essentially, you're wasting their talent. So in this case, what is the point of keeping all these young players when you can have enough young players you can focus on the most so you can develop the most? And the guy who deserves the majority of the blame, the man who has the richest contract by any other coach in the league, has to be Monty Williams. Williams has shown that he is a fucking shit coach. Yes, I said it. This man is beyond fraudulent as a coach. This man had the benefit of coaching Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and having the most complete team in the NBA from 21 to 22. They made the finals in 21, and then Monty Williams gets outcoached by Mike Budenholzer, who's not with the Bucks anymore, and gets outcoached by Jason Kidd and Mike Malone. And once he gets the money back in Detroit, the guy has done nothing but sabotage this team. Jaden Ivey is now in the starting lineup, but before then, the guy was getting less minutes than Killian fucking Hayes, a guy that's shown nothing as far as improvement goes and looking like a fucking bust. Not just that, but Monty Williams is single-handedly stunting the growth of Jaden Ivey. He's not even utilizing the players at their best capability, and he has an absurd 7 different starting lineups in the last 19 games, which goes to show you that the man simply cannot coach. He literally can't. You can't really set an example and hold these cats accountable. You can't even win at least 5 games. 5 games? If this losing streak continues, then they have no choice but to fire this man because this is fucking ridiculous. Not just that, the Pistons for the past 5 seasons have been on the mission of rebuilding, and there's literally no progress despite drafting all these high draft picks during that span. Aside from Cade Cunningham, majority of these guys are not even progressing, some of which have regressed, and it all has to do with the player development and the people they have in the front office. This sell the team chant they be doing last game is looking at possibility, especially what they've accomplished throughout the last decade. Hell, Cade Cunningham was holding tears after they lost their 25th consecutive game. Honestly, guys, I feel so bad for this guy. He has been balling in the last 13 games, including a career high 43 points against Atlanta, and the Pistons still lost. Man, free Cunningham, for real. The guy deserves so much better, but going back to the whole team, they're already out of the playoffs and we're not even in the second half of the season. Hell, the Memphis Grizzlies, since getting Ja Morant back, have gone on a 3-game winning streak, more than the total wins that the Pistons have as of this video. For this team to be this bad for the last 4 seasons is absolutely unacceptable. And this organization, especially the owner of this team, don't know what it takes to win in the NBA. So this team needs a whole reboot. I mean, sell the entire team, clear the entire house, like everything, and start from scratch. Because there's no fucking reason why this Pistons should be this bad, especially when you have teams like the Orlando Magic, the Oklahoma City Thunder, hell, even the Houston Rockets is making strides as far as their development. Meanwhile, the Detroit Pistons is still down in the drain and still is the worst team in the NBA for the past 2 seasons now. No matter how much they try as far as their moves goes, it seems as if they never get it together. And from 2010 to now, you only have 2 playoff appearances. The fucking Charlotte Hornets have more playoff appearances than the Pistons in that span. And the only team that has less playoff appearances than the Pistons are the Kings. And the Kings right now are going to be playoff contenders in the West for many years to come. So the Detroit Pistons have been the most failed franchise in the league, and even in sports if you add them in a convo. They have been so dysfunctional for the past decade, all due to their incompetence as an organization, and there has to be a full-on reboot. I mean, a fucking revival of this franchise, because you can't keep on having these losing seasons over and over and over again. And at a certain point, there has to be a change in this franchise. And that's the vid. Let me know in the comment section below, are the Pistons truly wasting Cade Cunningham? Like I said, let me know, and make sure y'all subscribe for more NBA and NFL content. Turn on post notifications and smash the like button, and that is all. Stay litty. This is the A-Man Show. Sign out.